Good morning to the Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, online and TV 15 viewers, radio listeners via St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM and respective radio stations island-wide. I'm Rolika Roach, and welcome to the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, February 9th, 2022. At this time, I would like to invite the Minister of Justice, the Honorable Anna Richardson, to address you. Minister Richardson, you have the floor.
Good morning, Prime Minister, colleague ministers, Ms. Roach, Team DCOM, and Team TV15, the media, those tuning in online or via the radio, and of course, a special good morning to all senior citizens. Firstly, I take this time to thank the members of the multidisciplinary team consisting of the Immigration Department, the Police Force, Customs, and the inspectorates of both TEAT and VSR, who together are visiting various communities without prejudice to execute controls. In the latter part of January, the multidisciplinary team moved through Phillipsburg, controlling both persons and businesses to ensure for complete compliance of the laws of the land. In particular, persons who were in practice of harassing tourists from cruise lines and or stayovers were approached, controlled, and those who failed to produce valid identification and or valid documents to confirm legal status on the island were detained, processed, and dealt with according to the law. There were businesses found to be operating without the necessary business licenses and or persons without valid work permits in service. These businesses were closed and the owners fined for deliberately breaking the law. The joint controls continued into the neighborhood of St. Peter's on Saturday, February 5th, 2022. During the multidisciplinary joint controls, 2 bars and 1 supermarket were fined for irregularities in their business documentation. 2 lottery booths were closed for the same reason. Additionally, the management of 3 of these businesses were summoned to the Ministry of TEAT on Monday, February 7th. A total of 8 illegal persons or undocumented persons were held in the operation and brought in for further investigation and processing. In accordance with Article 11.3 of the guidelines, which is law, a valid form of identification is required when out in public. Individuals of the public must have means or ways of identifying themselves when approached by authorities. Failure to identify oneself to authorities is a misdemeanor offense and may result in being fined or incarcerated. The multidisciplinary team is executing their duties by law and reiterating that the joint controls will continue throughout Dutch St. Martin. The core focus as these overall controls are being executed is to ensure residents are adhering to the laws of the land are in compliance with the policies and regulations as such. The general public is reminded to ensure they are all in possession of valid identification, residence, and work permits where applicable. Please ensure that you are in possession in possession of illegal substances and that businesses can produce valid business licenses and all other relatable documents that are requested by the controllers upon request. I join the multidisciplinary team to say thank you to the community for their support and cooperation thus far. A message from the Immigration Department. The Admission Services of Immigration and Border Protection Services, IBP, is advising applicants that the online portal to upload supportive documents needed for their application has been enlarged. Some persons experience a challenge of having their documents accepted and submitted due to size limitations. This has since been remedied and you are asked to reapply. By extension, a help link has been added for you to click on, giving you quick response to provide assistance with the process. That's it from me at this time, Ms. Roach. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I remain available for questions.
Thank you, Minister Richardson, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite the Minister of Public Health, Social Development, and Labor, the Honorable Omar Otley, to address you. Minister Otley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Rolika. Good day to the members of the media, the viewing and listening public, and of course, my honorable colleagues. I would like to start today with a moment of silence for those that we have lost due to COVID-19. Thank you. Although we recorded 82 deaths, it never gets old. It always hits as hard as the first one. My strength to the families. Unfortunately, we are dealing with a virus that the world has dealt with and the world has suffered with, and everyone has faced losses. Currently, we have 6 persons in the medical center. That was up to 7 p.m. When I got the update. There were 6 persons in the medical center due to COVID-19. Of that, one person is fully vaccinated. The rest, 5 are unvaccinated. We have 417 active cases. We are at a 6.9% threshold, meaning out of every 100 persons, there's no 6.9, so let's say about 7 persons are positive. And the WHO's threshold that we want to be is 5% or under. We were at 25% 3 weeks ago. So definitely we are on the right track. As for vaccinations, we still promote vaccinations. We promote the booster shots as we have seen it work. Out of the 82 persons that have passed, unfortunately, 5 were fully vaccinated and the rest, 77, were deemed unvaccinated. So we promote and push the vaccination. Some persons are asking, where can they get vaccinated? It's still at the Vineyard building. That's the CPS location from 8 to 3. So we urge everyone to come out, get vaccinated. Those who do not want to be vaccinated, we respect it, but we ask you to follow protocol, take care of yourself. We are now, I'm happy to announce again, we have signed the NCD Communicable Disease Advice, which will promote prevention. We will collaborate with SZV, and there will be more activities, more knowledge being shared on health awareness. So now is our time to definitely tackle the health, as COVID has exposed the weakness in our society. I would like to also touch on a bit our economy. We see from the latest reports that the Netherlands now have said that the current approach against COVID-19 is not sustainable for society and the economy. They're moving away from avoiding risks and controlling them in a way of, it's going to be a way of life. This is what we have been saying. This is what we have been preaching. This is what we have been preparing our people for. Sometimes when you are ahead, people think you are insane or you don't have compassion. But it's not that. It's the fact that I ask, and I always, week in and week out, I've asked the people of St. Martin to trust my judgment, trust the judgment of the government. And now we see the rest of the world is actually following each and everything that we have done, from vaccinated people being able to come, from removing protocols, from not rushing to shut down, to opening up. So with that being said, I will stick to the phase approach for now. If it continues in this fashion, which we see we have 6 hospitalized, I can announce that if we continue in this fashion, we can see an extension in the nightlife to 1 a.m. by this Friday, if we continue in this fashion. However, I must state that due to our normalcy trajectory, if we make it to phase 1, which is 1 a.m., my plans are to eliminate phase 2 once and for all, which means if we continue in this trajectory and we go to phase 1, there will no longer be a phase 2, which is 11 p.m. We are moving forward. We have to move forward. I will not take the drastic approach like the rest of the world and just open overnight, but we will move forward. So again, just for all the news medias, and I want you to quote me correctly, if we continue in this trajectory, which is a positive trajectory, by Friday we are expected to be at 1 a.m. If we make it to the 1 a.m., we will eliminate phase 2 of the approach, meaning scaling back to 11. We are moving forward towards normalcy. So I look forward to any other questions. I would just like to update on 2 more things, which is 1, we signed the DCHA, which is the Dutch Caribbean Hospital Alliance with the 4 countries. That is a big success. What this does, it allows us to enter procurements buy material for a much cheaper price. This is with Curacao, Aruba, St. Martin, and the Dutch, of course, representing the best islands. It also helps our quality of care, as we know we suffer from we are in a hurricane belt. We recently suffered from pandemic or any emergencies or natural disaster. We are obligated to work with each other within the region. This is very important. This helps with PPEs, this helps with hospital beds, and all of this is a part of our normalcy strategy, as we will need each other, God forbid, if there's another resurgence. I would also like to let the public know that I have a meeting with the SER pertaining to the minimum wage. The CPI was given to us, I want to say 2 weeks ago, by the Ministry of TIAT, so we were able to calculate our proposal for the minimum wage. So now we will have a meeting with them, and I will sign my advice and submit to them with now the proposal. My first advice was asking their opinion if they think it would be a good idea. But now I'm moving forward. I have my proposal, and I will be sending the proposal for the updated minimum wage to the SER. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Otley, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite the Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, the Honorable Dr. Anders Rudolph Samuel, to address you. Minister Samuel, you have the floor.
Good morning, and thank you, Rolika. Good morning to you and the team. Good morning to the PM and my colleagues. Good morning to the media and to the people of St. Martin. A blessed day. Rolika, I would like to inform the public of St. Martin that on Monday, when the management and staff of the Prince William Alexander School, that is in Belvedere, the Dr. Almus Fleming campus, which is St. Martin's special education school, when they reached to the school and began their regular day, they were confronted with some very negative situation. And the negative situation is that someone broke into the school and actually went into the home economic classroom and vandalized the classroom. It is very sad to see what took place there, because the persons who went into the classroom, the home economic room is where the students of Prince William Alexander, our special education students, how they learn to cook and use a stove and do these kind of things. The persons who did it did not take anything, actually. They did not steal anything, they did not take anything, and they just trashed the home economic class. And when the security came back on Monday, we already see 4 youngsters again running away from the school at 6 p.m., 6:15 p.m. in the afternoon. And 6 p.m. in the afternoon is very daylight. And I think it is very sad that persons would want to damage a place where education is being provided to our students. So with this, I'm asking the public, to be mindful of what you're doing, and you're hurting the students, and it doesn't profit anything to do so. I also want to update the public of a meeting that will take place tomorrow, Thursday, the 10th of this month. And that is the meeting with the school boards and the union and the other stakeholders. And the main topic on that agenda is the topic of the 12.5%. You know that with the austerity measures, all the organizations and school boards that are receiving subsidies from government, they also have to apply the 12.5%. So we are going to have the meeting tomorrow, and we will be discussing the issues. The main issue is the 12.5% and the matters regarding this. There would be other issues, most naturally, on the agenda, but this is the main issue that would be discussed tomorrow. I would also like to inform that when I came to the ministry as Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, one of the items that were there to do was the repairs of the schools, because the schools did get damaged during the hurricane, and the NRPB under the trust fund, the World Bank, was busy arranging the repairs of some 19 schools, and Because the process was taking long, I requested from NRPB to pull at least 6 schools forward that we could start with them so we can have classrooms. And the 6 schools, which I reported before, was the Sister Regina School, the St. Joseph School, and the Lionel Connor School. Those 3 schools have been repaired. The Lionel Connor School has some minor things to do. And the second 3 out of the 6 is the St. Dominic School, the Mac High, and the Milton Peters College. So it is the intention to start with the repairs on the Milton Peters College and Mac High. I'm getting indications that the St. Dominic School have asked to push back their start on repairs a little bit later. But the repairs at the Milton Peters College, you would have read in the newspaper, is asking for attention to be given, that the quality of education is safeguarded, and it is having an effect on the fact that we do not have sufficient classrooms to just have the repairs and have school normally. So we are busy, and when I say we, I mean that the ministry and the school board, who is the competent authority, to have a schedule that would make it possible for education to continue so that we can have the repairs done. The way how the schedule look at the moment, it is something that we have done before. I think it was done after the hurricane with the Academy School. When the repairs there also had to be done, school was done in the afternoon, so you had morning sessions and afternoon sessions. I understood that there were also sessions on Saturday. Important is that we make sure that the students are prepared and ready for when exams come. It is intention that the repairs at Milton Peters College will take some 9 months, and barring that there are no delays, because those things can also happen. We don't know how the weather is always, but I am still in discussion to have a final decision as to how the approach with the school will take place. And when that final decision is made, I will communicate this to the competent authority, which is the school board, and also to the public. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister Samuel, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite the Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, the Honorable Silvera Jacobs, to address you. Prime Minister Jacobs, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Rolika. Good morning to you. Good morning to my colleagues. Good morning to the members of the media. And of course, a special good morning and welcome to the people of St. Martin. I must say that it's always a pleasure for me to be here on a Wednesday to share with the public. Yesterday, on February 8th, I had a courtesy visit from the Lions Club District Governor, Mr. Claudio Buncamper. During his visit, he was able to highlight his travels to the various countries. The last time I had such a meeting, it was with someone else, but St. Martin now can boast of having a district governor in the Lions Club as well as in the Rotary Club, having the regional director as well, in person of Mr. Waver. So actually, tiny St. Martin is making many strides. I think this is the fourth district governor that is from St. Martin. And from here on, he will also move up to the next level after his stint as district governor is finished. Continues to highlight the need for social clubs, for community clubs to continue to do what they do. And government, of course, is very happy and grateful. One of the main projects they talked about was the glasses program that they have, where they years ago went into the schools, brought in ophthalmologists to test the eyes of several thousands of children and to find out that several needed glasses. So that's a project they have also collaborated with the Rotary Club on. And so for me, volunteerism is key to us meeting the needs of the people. And so I was happy to make some time in my schedule for that courtesy visit. I also this week hosted the Ambassador Joke Brandt, permanent representative of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in the United Nations, stationed in New York. Her Excellency came for a working visit to get to know St. Martin in making sure that she is inclusively representing the entire kingdom and not just the Netherlands at that level at the UN. She was accompanied by the first Secretary of Climate and Environment, Mr. Kavesh Biseswar, and they were able to execute an extensive agenda that had been planned by the Department of Foreign Affairs, which falls under the Ministry of General Affairs, which allowed her to meet with government officials, the St. Martin Youth Parliament, local artists, and of course, community organizations like the St. Martin Development Fund, Makisha Brooks, and the NRPB, among others. I must say that Ms. Brandt, Ambassador Brandt, was highly impressed by the presentation yesterday in Parliament by our Youth Parliament. They focused on the SDGs, and though in my discussion with the Secretary General of the UN last week, the bilateral, together with the other prime ministers of the kingdom, where Mrs. Brandt also was a participant, or at least a two-horder, as they would say, highlighting the need for us to refocus on the SDGs, seeing that we were already behind and that the COVID pandemic pushes us further into the abyss. It was good to hear the students' suggestions and solutions yesterday, and we will continue to have that dialogue with Foreign Affairs Department, the youth, as well as the presentations that were made by the various artists at the reception last evening. We are pleased that the ambassador took the initiative to travel to St. Martin and the other Dutch Caribbean countries to ensure inclusive representation of the entire kingdom within a multilateral system of the United Nations. Through this visit, the permanent mission in New York will be able to accurately reflect and further the international objectives, especially the priorities of St. Martin in this regard, and of course the other Dutch Caribbean islands within the UN system. Her Excellency also paid a visit to our Governor, Dr. Anders Eugene Holliday, and met with key Department of Foreign Affairs staff, and including my staff. And I must say that coming out of that discussion, there is now going to be a monthly meeting planned with the mission to ensure that they continue to be updated on St. Martin's position as a small island development state and our existing challenges faced, especially those that relate to climate change and the funding opportunities that might be available via this platform. I'd also like to take this time to thank the entire Council of Ministers for taking time yesterday to attend the reception, meet the ambassador, and also I believe there were several initiatives that will come out of that meeting, and they will be able to further also the individual ministries' goals that a United Nations platform can forward as well. As I mentioned, the Youth Roundtable, there was also a Youth Roundtable discussion held yesterday, and the participants expressed their vision on how best to achieve sustainable development for St. Martin. And I must say that their ideas will not go unheard. Further, in our media reports, since 2 days ago, the four countries agreed on a joint statement going out to highlight that we have moved from the political agreement to allow now the amendment, including the Coho law, to be forwarded to the parliaments for further deliberation and discussion. I think many have been awaiting that. The concerns that we had as countries were addressed in our political discussions with the new State Secretary, Van Huffelen, whereby we were concerned about the cooperation protocol between the CFT and the Coho, also the mutual task, roles, and responsibilities that have to be established between the Coho and the CFT, and confirm that we will be consulting as governments to ensure that before that cooperation protocol can be established or amended. So whether once it's established as well, if there are changes have to come, the islands, the countries must be consulted. Other concerns were ensuring that the law was enforceable within the constitutional order of the countries, as well as ensuring that the excessive authorities of the CFT would not block the priority position of the governments of the countries in terms of them assessing the investments that are needed for the country reforms, which, of course, for the Dutch government is a priority, but it cannot step over the priorities of the immediate needs of the countries. And we were assured that all of these would be further worked out in the discussions as to the implementation of the law. As I also mentioned previously, the State Secretary will be visiting St. Martin on February 18th, and as we go down in the rest of this week, more information will be provided pertaining to her visit. In joining the Minister of Health, I would like to continue to remind the people of St. Martin is that our health is our wealth, and we are all individually responsible to ensure that we take care of that. Ensure to keep yourself healthy, your mind, body, and soul, and hopefully we can continue to grow out of this pandemic and achieve our normalcy that we strive for, not just economically, but that we also physically and emotionally can get over the tragedies that we have faced over the past 2 years as a result of the pandemic. Rolika, with that, I thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to any further questions or elucidations from the media.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs, for your opening remarks. If you've just joined us, you are watching the live Council Ministers Press Briefing for today, Wednesday, February 9th, 2022. Thank you for joining us. We now move on to the question and answer session. However, before we begin, I would like to inform that the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Artwell Edion, is present, however, will not be making any opening statements, but available for any questions the media may have. The floor is open. Bibi Hart Shah of SMN News, you have the floor.
Good morning, Rolika, and thank you. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, ministers. Minister of Finance and Minister now responsible for VROMI, since we do not have the VROMI minister here. Minister, I have a two-part question for you, and I'm going to give it to you, even though you may not have the answer. I'm expecting to get this answer in writing. Minister, there is a judgment. I don't even know if to call it a judgment or an agreement between the prosecutor's office, the Attorney General, and the Law Enforcement Council since 2018, when the Larry Marr investigation was taking place, whereby Wynwood Roads were condemned to 2 million guilders for their involvement in that corruption case. I'd like to know, Minister, who is overlooking that fine, so that the government of St. Martin, the Ministry of VROMI, was supposed to use that for sewage projects. We have a situation in Dutch Quarter, Minister. Residents are crying out loud. This project is trending for years. Why is it government is not using this fine at least to fix the Dutch Quarter situation? The other part of my question is there are rumors that there's a huge backlog, Minister, in requests for building permits. There are now allegations that certain civil servants are demanding bribes before these building permits the applications are being processed. Can you tell me if you as the minister now in charge of VROMI are aware, or if the minister of VROMI is aware, and if this situation was brought up in the Council of Ministers?
Thank you for your question, Ms. Shaw. In regards to the fine, the Larry Marr case, it was almost as if you were in one of our meetings we had last week. It was Prime Minister? Was it this week? Last week? Yes. That's last week, Wednesday, I believe, yes. I called for a meeting, actually, between the Ministry of Azat and the Ministry of VROMI and myself to look at possible solutions for the Dutch Quarter situation. In addition to that, also the situation with Wimmer Roads and the case. I will say that VROMI was already has been already in the process of dealing with the assignments of the sewage and so forth. So that was being worked on, and I believe already in process in certain areas. So it isn't that it was stagnant and not moving, no. It's also in sections. It's not one whole project. It's just, I believe, 4 different sewage projects. Illich Road, I believe, Suck Gardens, 4 different projects. So that process already has started already. It wasn't something that was stagnant. But yes, the discussion has come forward. We've had a meeting. I don't know if someone from that meeting also notified you, but yes, we did specifically had a meeting on that topic. So we are looking at other possibilities of financing or funding the Dutch Quarter situation. It has had the attention of the both ministers of AZ and the Minister of Rummy for a while now. I stepped in now also to try and remedy the situation in terms of how can we continue to find funding for the situation, the unfortunate situation. So yes, the minister himself, I guess, will be able to update the general public when he is back or when he's in, and I'm pretty sure he'd be willing to do that. In addition to the bribes at the permits department, obviously, if that had our attention, it would have been addressed already. But again, I will ask the public to, if you have been bribed or have had an unfortunate situation with any person or individual that deals with permits at any of our ministries, please come in and report it, and it will be dealt with as swiftly as possible. That is not something that we will accept as a government, and I'm pretty sure the minister will not accept that either. It hampers the integrity, and it also then hampers the progress for other building permits and so forth. So yes, please, if you personally know also, I look forward to seeing an email with the individuals and the proof, and we will handle as swiftly as possible.
Thank you, Minister Edion, and thank you, Bibi. I would now like to invite Ralph Cantav of Phillipsburg Broadcasting. You have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Roach, and good morning to everyone. My question is for Minister of Education, Minister Samuel. And my question is, can you provide us with an update on the special needs education policy, as far as when is it expected to be finalized, and what would be the key elements the policy will contain to fulfill the development of children in need of special ed? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kantav, for the question. The policy on the special needs education, indeed, it should be finalized by now or being finalized, because it was being worked on and that was the trajectory. What we have had is that, the situation with the Omicron, a lot of persons has been out, and that could have probably, have an effect on the timeline of delivering the policy. I am glad to indicate, though, that I am happy to know that people are keeping their eye on it, because it is something that is so much needed for our special needs. The policy would regulate exactly like how special need education should be regulated on St. Martin. So how many teachers in the classroom, how many students, the cost of delivering special education, and the whole works. So I too am looking forward to be able to complete this long-awaited document that will help our special education students to the service and attention that they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Samuel, and thank you, Ralph. I would now like to invite Lyndon Brown of BCN TV. You have the floor.
Good morning to the people of St. Martin and the ministers that are present here today. Question to the Minister of Health. The Minister of Health, as we focus on the Mental Health Foundation, Minister, there's a lot of crisis in the family where young men and young women consuming substance, and mental health personnel call in, and then when they go to the mental health, they end up getting start from 200 milligram to 500 milligram of injection to calm them down, Minister. But recently, I spoke to a gentleman, and the gentleman said like this: Mr. Brown, I had problem with my girlfriend, and he behaved angrily, and they was going to admit him for injection, and now the gentleman is now still walking and driving a truck. So a lot of time, is mental health have a rehabilitating area that can help our young men? Because it seems like, I'm gonna finish now, when they go at the mental health, it's like they go into a land of no return. Because just give them injection, all the time they just have a family problem, a wife problem, and they just give them injection. Drugs cannot heal drugs, right, Minister?
let me try put it like
It
this.
is very serious, eh? Very
Yeah,
serious.
I trying to formulate it very, very good because I never heard of mental health admitting no one for argument with a girlfriend. That's number one. So since we're talking serious, when we come on the floor of press briefing, let's bring facts. Let's not bring rumors and stuff. Number two, it's a procedure, it's a process. Even when someone is admitted for a cassette, a doctor needs to assess that person. The doctor then needs to say the person is not in their right mind or the person needs mental health assistance, and then it's sent to my persons with the advice of the doctor, with the advice of the mental health doctor, and then it goes to the Department of Public Health, who then assess the issue, and then it comes to me and my advisors, who then assess the issue, and then we make a decision on someone being taken into mental health. So I'm trying to understand, it's two things. Family issues and people having depression at home is very serious. It is something that we urge people to talk to people. There are many, we're developing different hotlines. I think the Justice has even developed a hotline, and her and I has signed together the domestic violence advice. And we are headed in that trajectory of basically allowing people who have issues within their homes to be able to communicate. But as far as saying that persons have an issue with their wife and then mental health come and give them an injection, that's absolutely false. That's incorrect. That never happened. Number one, when you have an issue or a dispute, you don't call mental health. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, Minister Otley. I would now like to invite Stephen Cerulean of PJ82 Radio. You have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Good morning to you, Prime Minister. Ministers, good morning to you as well. My question is for the Minister of ESL, if I may divert your attention to the labor market minister. The ministry has been holding a series of job fairs to help with the unemployment situation on St. Martin. Can you tell us as to what success there has been with those fairs, Minister?
Thank you. We have hosted 2 job fairs thus far. We have did it with the St. Martin General Hospital, in which a meeting, I was updated last week, but throughout the whole saga with the accounts and so forth, that had the priority. But based on my response, I was told that the NESC department, the Department of Labor, they have to have a meeting with the contractor, and then they will go through the results of who were hired, who were sent to a next, who will be going to training, because they are also partnering with NEPA. So maybe there are persons who did not qualify at this moment. But the objective and my strong belief was we're not just going to turn someone away. We're going to prepare them so that they can make it for the next time. So what I will do, definitely, the meeting is scheduled sometime this week. So hopefully next week press briefing, I can have a more definite answer when it comes to that. As far as the Ballast Natum, I'm awaiting a report. But I can say, even for Ballast Natum, from before coming to the table, they were already in contact with many local contractors and many local, whether it's vendors with machineries and so forth. So those informations is to be sent to the department, not to me directly, to the department, and then there will be an assessment from there. So hopefully by next week press briefing, I can have a better percentage or answer for you.
Thank you, Minister Otley, and thank you, Stephen, for the question. I would now like to invite Daniela DeWin of the Daily Herald. You have the floor.
Thank you, and good morning to everyone. I would like to repeat my recent question as the Minister of Justice is present herself today. The Daily Herald understands that the Landesrecherche, or the National Detectives, is severely understaffed. So I would like to ask what the current capacity of the National Detectives is, and if a new head has been appointed. If not, what's the process? Are there any updates? And who are the candidates?
Pleasant good morning again. Thank you for your question, Mr. Wynn. So with regards to the head of Landesrecherche, the process has been done to review those who have submitted their interest to be the head of We have identified those persons. However, just to be a bit transparent with you, we have a director in mind, but that person is in their pension age. And so my request is that the person who ranked second in the application process would, so to speak, counterpart, be a part of the training process. This way, when their contract is over, the second person will then step up into the position to carry on so that we don't have shortcomings in terms of the leadership of this department going forward. When we speak about being understaffed, we have to look at the qualifications for one to become part of the National Detectives. It's part of a growth. So you don't just apply for the position and take up the position. You have to go through the channels of becoming an officer first, going through, the on-job experience, grow within the ministry. That is what we want to do. As you would know, as the Herald, the KPSM in itself is doing recruitment drives on an annual basis, and that means that the goal is that persons can grow from KPSM into National Detectives. So we do have our eyes on all agencies within justice. Yes, National Detectives definitely is one that we're seeing how the most capable persons are able to grow into that department. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Minister Richardson, and thank you, Daniela, for the question. We now move on to the second round. Bibi Shaw, you have the floor.
Thank you, Relaika. My question, Prime Minister Sylveria Jacobs, last week I asked the Minister of Health if he foresee Carnival 2022 going ahead. The minister said he sees no need to cancel Carnival at this point, and based on the way we are going right now with our cases, it appears like Carnival will take place. Can you tell me why is the festival village still in a dilapidated state? We have, after 5 years, we have about 15 booths, Minister, that still no repairs have been done. These booths were damaged by Irma. Can you tell me if the repairs will start anytime soon that can accommodate Carnival 2022?
Thank you, Bibi, for the question. Indeed, the goal is that we would have Carnival, and the SOG or foundation is the one managing some of government's buildings, which includes the festival village. We had several meetings on this same point. The claim is that the original insurance funds, part of that is for the SOG. Of course, the advice to be able to release the funds, I think more than a month or two ago, came to me, but there were several questions in terms of ensuring that it is what they call in Dutch beslissrijp, ready for a decision making. Not all the I's were dotted and the T's crossed, and so we're in the process of trying to ensure that, of course, in time that at least the repairs to the roof that has been damaged for years can be done. Back then, I can tell you that based on the fact that we were underinsured with our buildings, that priority was given to schools and the like. And so I believe there is still funds available, and it still is a priority. However, proper due diligence has to be followed to be able to put out the terms of reference to finalize those repairs. Unfortunately, these things do take longer than we anticipate. So we will see also what else will be done internally. They have been able to maintain the village for other purposes throughout the year and thereby be a bit self-sustainable. And I think I've mentioned here also that there were some arrears that government owed them, that we were structurally putting a payment plan in place, especially seeing our liquidity so that they can also continue to do their normal maintenance to our F&A building, which is a fire and ambulance, as well as the festival village.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs, and thank you, Bibi. Rav Kantav, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Roach. I have a question for the Minister of Justice. We'll just have a brief follow-up for the Minister of Finance, just in terms of if you receive any additional information on the Mortgage Guarantee Fund and the question I asked last week. And my question for the Minister of Justice deals with the process of one being detained by immigration. And my question is, when someone is detained, how long are they held? Do they pay for their return home, or does the country pay? And are they allowed to take belongings that they garnered here with them? Thank you.
Good question. Thank you, Mr. Contev. So When persons are detained, they go through an investigation or interrogation, so to speak, process where they are interviewed about their status on the island. How did you arrive? When did you arrive? What is the reason that you've been on the island for as long as you have without applying? If the person is able to show that, let's say they have an application in for processing, that is checked with our admissions department or tulating for us to be able to confirm what is the status with. Some persons who are detained are actually released on what we call a meldplicht, which is an arrangement that they have to report into the immigration department on a set period of time to be able to have discussions about their status. Some persons are given the opportunity to regulate their situation because perhaps they've established a family here. And the list of scenarios are continuous. We have persons, though, that we would just tell us that, yeah, they've just been living here, they find odd jobs where they can, and they had no intentions on applying for residency. So those are the persons that we have an interest in getting not to be on the island because they're not contributing positively to our society. Let's just be real and frank about it. There are persons here as well who are living on the island for many years, working for companies for many years, and they will tell you in tears the companies refuse to file for them. This is wrong. This is abuse. And I think that too often the criticism that comes with these types of controls overlooks the persons who are treated unfairly. I'll be nice. Unfairly. And we have to tackle that. We have to address it because it's unfair to them. You have persons who are receiving pay slips. And I might be going way off of what you even asked me, but I'm going to take the opportunity to be able to be as open and direct about what we are encountering. There are persons who are receiving job letters and pay slips and coming to apply, and we say, but by rights and by law, you should have your employer apply for you. They would cry and say, yes, I've asked my employer for years. They're underpaid because it's abuse. The employers are refusing because they believe there are no consequences, and that must change. The issue that we have on St. Martin is lack of compliance. And this government is ensuring that we enforce the laws that are established. This is not my laws. These are not the Minister of VSA being over labor laws. These laws exist. Minister of Finance in terms of tax compliance, then the list goes on. We have young men and women in our communities, in our society, where some of them, even their parents, ensured that they established their legal status, but did nothing for their children. Their children are now adults, and they're having a difficult time being able to establish. And I'm getting letters on a day-to-day basis of persons expressing how they've tried, the difficulties, and we are doing our best to be able to work with everyone who is honestly trying to be here, contributing positively to St. Martin. That is the ultimate goal. We are not anti-migrants. Let's get that correct. That's not the subject here. What we're saying is, in order for our society to be a safe and healthy one, everyone needs to contribute. We need everyone to contribute in paying your taxes and everything. Persons having pay slips, it's showing that their taxes are being deducted, but when they go to the tax department, they are not known. Do you understand how unfair that is to someone? Do you understand how devastating that is to someone? Yes, to my learning as well, you should file your taxes, and I will continue to reiterate that on every platform I'm able to. File your taxes, because if your employer is doing you wrong, then that red flag will raise far beyond expectations. But we must come together as a community, collectively wanting the best for St. Martin. Too often, the onus is placed on government. Government isn't doing this. Government isn't doing that. And when government starts to do what is necessary, then you have criticism. Why are you doing this? And why? There are so many persons on this island who are either nationals or legally supposed to be here without employment. Yet someone can step off of a flight and be employed in a night. That's not fair. And that is where justice has to come into play. I commend the multidisciplinary team, and I am If you can see the enthusiasm of the officers of justice, immigration, customs, police, they are so enthusiastic to finally be executing the job they have been hired to do. This country is just handled a budget that is in a deficit. We are in a deficit. Why is that? We have so many people on this island. We are so healthy, yet we have our financial challenges. So again, I'm going to say sorry if I veered off too much into what you asked, but at the end of the day, the persons that we are dealing with, we are trying to process them as quickly as possible. Yes, family members can come and purchase their tickets to send them home, and those who can show that they have viable reasons to be here and they had made attempts to be here legally, we are working with them on the Melplicht. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Minister Richardson, and thank you, Ralph. Sorry, Ralph, we'll have to continue. Lyndon Brown, you have the floor.
Yes, question again to the Minister of Health. Minister of Health, it was recently, there was an incident with Lance. Lance, the Rastaman who passed away in the hands of the mental health. Oh, they were here. He was a patient there. And other people, Minister. And you said recently, investigation is taking place. And up to now, we haven't heard nothing. Now, Minister, I know a lot of things, but this is not a platform. This is a platform of information. So I'm being disciplined. So, but I've been encountering a lot of people right now. Right now, a gentleman said, my son, he used substance. It seemed like I got to go and speak to him just after because it's flaring up. Because we know it's not the easiest thing to deal with people who consume substance.
Mr. Brown, can you ask your question, please?
I want you to relate what you plan to do. Again and again, Minister. I mentioned just now, it is very serious. We ain't gonna wait until we hear a father kill their son and a son kill their parents to do something, Minister. Again, and I said, it's very serious.
Thank you. In the case of Mr. Thomas, yes, it is unfortunate, but the investigation is not being carried out by my person. The investigation is carried out by the prosecutor's office. I have no jurisdiction over that. So I myself I'm awaiting the findings of the investigation. That's number one, so I cannot speak on something I don't know. Number two, we have the Turning Point as well, the Turning Point Foundation. We have been, and that's for substance abuse. Because when we talk about substance abuse, I think you are just focusing on mental health, but we have the Turning Point Foundation, and that's their specialty. And mental health takes persons who have substance abuse and direct them towards Turning Point. So then I would advise your friends or people that you know that, and I commend them for coming to you and admitting, that's the first step, admitting that they have an issue with substance. The next part is having them willingly turn themselves into Turning Point. That's the next step. So if you're going to have that conversation when you leave here, please let them know, don't go towards the mental health, go towards the Turning Point. We are also in the process of having meetings with Turning Point to have them situated properly so that we as VSA can finally subsidize them again. As we can see in the budget, the Minister of Finance made an amendment to allow the subsidy that would have probably been hindered from going towards Turning Point this year. We put it towards justice, so justice can allocate towards Turning Point to help improve all of this. So there's not only mental health, there's also Turning Point for substance abuse. So there you go. And for anyone at the sound of my voice, if you are suffering with substance abuse, I encourage you. First step is admitting, and I commend you for that. And the next step, feel free to attend the Turning Point Foundation. They will definitely assist you.
Thank you, Minister Otley. I would now like to invite Stephen Cerulean of PJ82 Radio. You have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. My question is for the Deputy Minister of Romy. Mr. Your colleague recently stated that the bidding process for the demolition of the post office and the Sarema building, as well as the government building, has been completed. Can you tell us as to who the contract for carrying out the job was awarded to and how much was set aside for the job overall?
Thank you for your question. I did sign off on those, but I can't remember the names of the companies. So I'll leave it up to the minister to be able to respond to that, the amount and which company. On the top of my head, I definitely can't remember which ones.
Thank you, Minister Edion. Thank you, Stephen. Before we continue, I would like to re-invite Minister Otley.
Thank you. I just want to answer Mrs. Cerulean's real quick on the job fair with Finzo. So the main contractor had the interest in 8 persons that are skilled, 15 persons that are semi-skilled. Unfortunately, there were about 38 persons that did not meet the requirement for the main contractor. However, the subcontractor is evaluating 33 persons within interviews. There are 35 subcontractors in which all 35 subcontractors will be evaluated by the procurement team and dealt with accordingly based on the phase of the project. I think it was very important for me to answer you right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Otley. Daniela DeWint, you have the final question.
Thank you. I would like to ask the Minister of Finance when the new number plates are expected to arrive, and if you can give us an update on the pilot program for the stickers and the QR code system. Has a pilot started, and if so, how is it going?
Thank you for your question. So the plates are, let me calculate. So January 4th was supposed to be 37 days, so it's supposed to be this week. So I need an update on if they have arrived or not. Obviously, it was, as I mentioned before, it's because of the whole shipping delays within the whole system of cargo and so forth. Nothing because of the ministry, we were on time, and not because of the supplier, just because of the shipping issues. I'll confirm, I'm hoping to have it between this week and next week. I'll confirm if the ship was on time. In regards to the project, we took the comments from the Council of Ministers, but also the comments from the Parliament in regards to the design and making it smaller and so forth. So we have gone now and made a new design, made it a little smaller, and a couple other adjustments, and hopefully we can get a project up and running by the end of this month. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Edion, and thank you, Daniela. Members of the media, this does bring us to the end of the question and answer session. Any further questions can be sent to the Minister's Cabinet in writing. Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, radio listeners, and online viewers, this brings us to the end of the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, February 9th, 2022. For rebroadcast, tune in to St. Martin Gov Radio via 107.9 FM, Telem's Tel TV Plus, the official Facebook page of the Government of St. Martin, the YouTube channel Government of St. Martin, and TV 15. For video on demand, log on to the Government of St. Martin's YouTube channel. On behalf of the Department of Communication and the Government of St. Martin, I'm Rolika Roach and wishing you a pleasant day further.